innovative live webcast, Torn Tuesday, exclamation point. We better be live. We better be live. Are we live? Well, there's Cliff. Well, hey, there's Teteras. Teteras, we're going to publish something by you. I promise you, a little later this evening. In the meantime, hello everyone. Welcome once again to our weekly webcast, Torn Tuesday. Torn being our playful acronym for TheOneRing.net, forged by and for the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien. We are the centerpiece of all Tolkien fandom on the interwebs, and as a matter of fact, we're here at Meltdown Comics. Here, it's the very centerpiece of all geekdom in Hollywood. So we're at the center of the innermost sanctum sanctorum. This, my friends, is where you come every week for news, blather, and gossip, and a lot of fun. Here we are at Meltdown Comics with our wonderful friends who support us, and we make excellent T-shirts here that we have to support TheOneRing.net. And I'm wearing my Laketown Archery Club. Can you guys see this? Take a quick look. I know that some of you actually got your T-shirts already, but right here on the back of this is Laketown Archery Club. How does that look on the camera? Probably a little backwards. Laketown Archery Club. And I've got lots of other great shirts. TheOneRing.net. TheOneRing.net. You know that little gold thing that Bilbo found on the ground? When that scene happens in An Unexpected Journey, and Gollum is rather gruesomely trying to finish killing off that goblin, and he says something muttering to himself, better than old bones, better than nothing, and he drags the dead body, the almost dead body of that goblin. At that point, there's a slow motion close-up of the ring almost flying, just popping right out of Gollum's pocket, because Gollum has pockets as well as Bilbo, and that is a demonstration of the ring having its own sentience. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the ring, unlike other Horcruxes, which is a loose connection that J.K. Rowling had put together in her own imagination to the ring, but nothing as an example of those has its own life, its own decision-making, its own sentience. The way that the ring continually has its own voice, its own character, and its own sentient will. It is the will of Sauron within the ring itself. And that's what's so fascinating about that moment. Why do we hear Isildur's theme? The theme of the doom of men? Like I said, months and months and months ago, way before An Unexpected Journey came out, way before the movie even hit theaters, I told you guys we were going to hear Howard Shore return to that leitmotif in the music score. And you hear Isildur's theme because the ring is demonstrating its ability to think for itself and act for itself. Right there, it pops right out of Gollum's pocket because of the proximity of Bilbo. It knows that after 500 years, it has a chance, right? Yeah, Justin's over there shaking his head. Nodding. He's nodding his head. Sort of. You'll have to forgive our dear fellow friend, our partner in crime, Justin, my wonderful co-host and technical producer. He's over there hiding in the background because he has come down with a bad case of the willies. Something's in his throat, a couple of frogs, and he can't talk. He's got laryngitis or something. I don't know what that is. It might be some kind of intimacy problem that he has. I don't know. But anyways, he can't talk and he's over there hiding in the corner. And so I, Clifford Broadway, also known as Quickbeam, am hosting today's show. We have a lot to talk about today in relation to marketing, and I'm going to say this in dictation. We have a lot to talk about in relation to marketing, comma, trailers, comma, and Warner Brothers advertising efforts, period. How about that? I'm making a Facebook post right in the middle of our talk. Warner Brothers has at its disposal a lot of money. A lot of money. An interesting article just appeared this week on Forbes. We reiterated it on TheOneRing.net because it was a fascinating discussion. It's interesting to say that people are reacting with shock. Why it's shocking, I don't know. Our staff writer, Demosthenes, appropriately said, I don't find it that shocking. Quickbeam, myself, I don't find it shocking, but the rest of the world responded with a great deal of eyebrow raising and surprise when it was revealed that the Hobbit films so far have cost a production dollar amount of $561 million just to get them made. We haven't even put in final figures yet for marketing, ads, striking new 35mm prints, which they're not doing that much of anymore because everything's going digital. But you know, some theaters still require a 35mm print. It costs thousands of dollars to do that. It's interesting to me that 561 million has, you know, exploded as a big headline saying, oh, what outrageousness! Excuse me, I'm coughing like Christopher Plummer smoking too much pipeweed. Outrageousness! 561 million for production costs is not really that much compared to the fact that every single film in the franchise makes $1 billion worldwide. What did the story say? I'm going to pull it up for you, and I'm going to show you guys really quick what kind of figures the films have been making. You can also look this up on boxofficemojo.com, a fascinating website for you guys to to actually explore how much is being spent, how much is being made, and all of these dollar signs back and forth tell you what kind of pressure the creative filmmakers are under to actually get a return on their investment. It is a very high-risk business. Filmmaking at this level is a high-stakes, high-risk business. Wouldn't you agree, Justin? And yeah, that was another nod of the head over there. The silent one is still over there, but he is doing all the bells and whistles for our technical show. What is it about 561 million that made everybody go, gasp? Well, if you divide it up over 10 years and look at the cost of inflation in filmmaking, it's really not that much. And the return on your investment, from Warner Brothers' point of view, is 1 billion with a B, for every film worldwide, before home video and ancillary marketing and licensing is all out there. It's really remarkable. Trailer talk here on Forbes magazine. The desolation of Smaug attempts to fool us twice. And he goes on and on here about Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides stopped its domestic take of money at 241 million. The first Hobbit film made 300 million domestic. So An Unexpected Journey, even though people said it was a little too slow, it was a little too leisurely, a little too watered down, why, and all the complaints that we heard from fans, why did they split the two movies into three, blah, 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 blah. Oh, who the hell is Azog? All the stuff that fans complained about didn't affect the bottom line of ticket sales.
It still made $1 billion.
$1 billion worldwide, over 300 million domestic, more than the Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And guess what? Worldwide, that Amazing Spider-Man reboot stopped at about 750 million. Yeah, watch out, Mr. Man. Somebody put a hazard, a little obstacle course over there for you. But look, 1 billion worldwide, An Unexpected Journey made so much money, it more than guarantees the return on the investment for the next two films in the franchise. You get that. The relationship between the bottom line and the way that Warner Brothers is going to allow Peter Jackson to spend more money, do more shots, and take in more of the story and extend the films, and even the fact that they hired a camera crew to do all these extensive behind-the-scenes things, that's impressive. It's all very impressive. An Unexpected Journey made enough money to seal the deal and guarantee that the next two films are just gravy. Total gravy. Pardon my French. Now,
well, you know what's...
the disembodied voice, that is not Ed Harris talking to Sandra Bullock in the background as Houston. That is Justin Sewell, my co-host.
We can
talking
talk
to me.
about Gravity in
We
a
will
few
talk about
minutes.
Gravity very soon. I have a lot to say about Gravity. Genius being the first word of the day. But go ahead. What were you saying, Justin?
The whole trilogy, that's including the marketing budget. That
Yeah.
$561 million price is including all marketing, all posters, all languages,
You mean dubbing all foreign versions?
dubbing,
Yeah.
DVD mastering, everything that our staffers have been working on behind the scenes, everything. So
They say in the chat room that you sound like Bilbo with a cold. Do you know what you should do, my friend, Justin? Say the following words. Thank you very much. With a G. Thank you very much. Say it just like that.
who says that?
Bilbo says it in the book. And
In-
we hope
in the
we
book?
hope that he says it in the movie too, coming out. Say, thank you very much.
No, I don't.
You've got the head cold. It's a perfect joke.
No, I don't.
Oh, come on, Justin. We set that up for you. Oh, lordy. Anyways.
Bilbo doesn't get sick. He's got the
Yes,
ring.
he does. Hello,
He's got the
Saoirse.
ring. Wait, how does Bilbo get sick if he has the ring?
Because the dwarves are inside the barrels, Bilbo is outside the barrels, and he catches a cold in the cold river. Soaking wet, soaked to the bone, on the river for days, soaking wet, he catches a miserable cold, as the barrels escape the Elven King. So that's how he gets a cold. Anyways,
So that's all in 561 million for 3 movies. If you divide
Yeah.
that by 3,
and
That's-
divide that by 3, and what do you get?
that's 175 million dollars,
Mhm.
which is less than a Transformers movie or
Yep.
a Superman movie.
Less than the Man of Steel, less than Michael Bay
yeah.
spent. Yeah, much less than what James Cameron spent on Avatar, certainly.
Right. So, and Pirates of the Caribbean. So every other tentpole movie, this is pretty bargain. They basically they shopped at Costco. Working with Peter Jackson is like
Yep.
shopping with at Costco.
Yep.
You buy in bulk.
You
and
buy in
save.
bulk and save. Yes, that is totally true. Working with Peter Jackson is analogous to shopping at, Sam's Warehouse Club. What is that called? There's a Costco, there's Sam's Warehouse.
Sam's Club.
Yeah, Sam's Club, all the damn things, all the same. But look at this. The number being thrown around, here, back to the Forbes article, the number being discussed for Lord of the Rings film series was 281 million to make all 3, or roughly 94 million per film. And each one of the Lord of the Rings movies made $1 billion, so that's $3 billion with a B out of a $281 million investment.
You know what?
Now, 10 years later, no wonder there's an increase in the costs of making the Hobbit trilogy. It's up from 281 to 561, but that's 10 years of inflation, and the extra high-tech equipment and the digital cameras, the 48 frames per second, all this extra jiggery-pokery that they added is not cheap. It's not cheap. Keep going.
Twice the budget
Mm-hmm.
and 0% of bigatures.
Yeah, and 0% bigatures. I loved those bigatures. So, no bigatures, but what are you going to do? We're all digital now. We're all digital now. LERTS was practical effects,
So-
and now we don't have LERTS, now we have AZOG, and AZOG is not practical effects. It's CGI.
So the argument that has ruled visual effects for the last 15 years
Yep.
is that it's cheaper, faster, better to do everything digitally. We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in the computer. We'll do it digitally. Oh, it's not working on set. Let's do it digitally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why does The Hobbit cost twice as much for taking out all of the main evil character prosthetics, and taking out all of the bigatures? If it makes more financial sense to do things digitally, why does everything in The Hobbit cost twice as much as Lord of the Rings? It
Okay.
makes no sense. The arguments are invalid.
Yeah, so what? The franchise is guaranteed to make its money back. That's what the article. I'm agreeing with the writer of this article here, and here's why the price tag may have jumped. 10 years of inflation, okay, arguably 1/3 increase in the price of making the films, as it costs money to re-sign the old talent. Ian McKellen was a lot more expensive to re-sign for these 3 films than he was 10 years ago. It's just a fact. Getting Orlando Bloom to re-sign a contract and do 2 more movies was a lot more expensive than he was. That's just the deal. That's the way it is. Okay? Plus, expensive technological advances, special effects toys. Second of all, he says, all 3 Hobbit films have been shot already, meaning that only extra costs from here on out will be post-production and any additional footage that Warner Brothers agrees to pay for, which means possibility of reshoots next year. If Peter Jackson says, I want reshoots for the 3rd film, Warner Brothers has to agree and say yes or no, whether they're going to spend that extra money or not.
Let me ask you this.
But here it says, the idea that the Hobbit trilogy, just 2 films in, has cost twice what the LOTR trilogy cost is not quite accurate, at least not yet. Okay?
Just talk about that. But
Yeah.
let me ask you this. On Lord of the Rings, you got the sense that Peter Jackson was willing to put in part of his paycheck, his own money.
Mhm.
He wanted a scene to be better than it was. You got the sense, and we have interviews with
Eat the
Jim
mic.
Rigel.
They can't hear you. Eat the mic.
We have interviews with many of the visual effects people from Lord of the Rings. Jim
Yes.
Rigel, the Oscar-winning VFX super,
Yes.
said people would work off the clock. Visual effects artists would work, still work on their shots off the clock, just to tweak it to make it that much better. Add just a little more layering, add a little more smoke, just get that
make it look
green
better?
screen extra perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that I might be wrong in this, but I believe in the extended edition bonus features, Peter Jackson says he actually put up some of his own money to complete a few shots.
Yeah, The Return of the King was a real challenge because they had a lot to finish.
So
There was a lot of increase in the costs. In
And-
fact,
and he
they
put-
estimate that The Return of the King cost $150 million to finish on time. There was a furious race to the finish for The Return of the King.
and so the question is,
Yeah,
do you get the sense that Peter Jackson is the same filmmaker that would put up his own money to make it a better movie, or do you think Peter Jackson is at the point where he's just cashing a paycheck and he knows he's good at it, and if Warner Brothers doesn't want to pay for it, then we're not going to do it. That's a different level of quality than we got with Lord of the Rings, and that's what I'm terrified of, is that everybody's in this for a paycheck.
I don't think that is the case. Peter got into a very well-publicized struggle with overseas actors' unions. Peter got into a lot of struggles with unfinished lawsuits from the Tolkien estate that were crisscrossing between Saul Zaentz and the Tolkien estate and New Line Productions. And all that stuff was settled very rigorously because Peter was so dedicated to finishing and making the story. He even lost his first choice in director. He lost Guillermo del Toro because of MGM's financial problems, right? And at the end of the day, I don't think Peter actually just put himself out there as a money-grubbing hack who just wants to make a movie, take a paycheck, and let the rest of the movie dangle in the wind. I think his legacy is attached to this. I think Peter Jackson's legacy as a filmmaker is very much part and parcel of the success, the reception of The Hobbit, and the way that
poor
we
reception of The Hobbit, the lazy filmmaking, the bad CG, the poor choices made as a director
lazy filmmaking.
to make a movie that didn't live up to expectations.
A lot of fans have complained about that, and that is another part of this discussion.
And that's
Not everyone agrees with you that it was lazy filmmaking and poor choices and bad CGI. A lot of people level those criticisms, but Peter knows that he's up against the wall of ongoing comparison to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And The Hobbit, especially the way The Hobbit story starts out, is a different horse of another color
Again,
that starts in a different place.
This goes back to my question. Is Peter Jackson the same filmmaker that he was 10 years ago, where he put up his own money to make a better movie?
One of the chatters has said, if
That's
Desolation...
a yes or no?
What's that?
That's a yes or no.
Ask me again. I was reading what this person saying. Sorry.
Well, first off, in the chat room, if I was really shrunk down to peanut size and living in Cliff's hat,
I would have a voice like this.
Yes,
and I'd
you
be
would.
talking really fast.
The question
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
is Peter Jackson the same filmmaker he was 10 years ago where he would put up his own money to make a better movie?
I don't really know if I don't think you can say yes or no so easily.
Based
There's
on the quality of
there's
the
shades of gray
Unexpected
in that.
Journey,
No.
I don't think he is that
No,
type of
nobody could. No
anymore.
filmmaker could be the same filmmaker 11 years later.
Except,
No one is going to be the same
except
filmmaker.
Steven Spielberg, who keeps hitting the home runs.
I don't know about that. Do you think that the alien skull, Crystal Skull, was a home
That's
run?
a George Lucas movie.
That was a Steven Spielberg home run, huh?
No, that's a
Yeah,
George
I don't know
Lucas
about
movie.
that.
Yeah, have you
No,
read the interview? Spielberg actually said that was everything was George's decision. Read the interviews. Spielberg chose Frank Darabont's script. Spielberg was the one that said we're shooting Darabont's script, and George Lucas is the one that threw it out.
That is a conversation for another day. But Peter Jackson cannot be the same human being that he was as a creative talent 11 years ago. He's done a lot of other films and a lot of other projects since then. I mean, he's
And
worked.
none of them were as good.
I don't know.
Bloated,
A lot of people loved King Kong.
bloated, long.
A lot of people. King Kong was a little bit of an indulgent thing, but
No, beautiful. The next
the Lovely Bones
Lovely Bones was indulgent.
was the Lovely Bones an indulgent thing? I don't know. He made that for his wife. He made that for Fran. That was more Fran's movie than it was Peter's. I believe.
Tennis, I am a
No,
fan
would
of,
Peter put his own money up to finish the film and make it look
and
perfect?
Make it better?
Well, we have yet to see if that dilemma happens. That dilemma may yet happen for the third film, and Peter might be in a position where he has to put up his own money to finish it. We never know.
As I recall,
We'll see.
He
We'll
had-
see.
He had to do that for the Fellowship of the Ring. He knows his strengths by now. He knows.
And so do we.
pitfalls.
So do we. All right, looking at the new trailers and the new advertising for this new film, do you believe that Peter is promising us a different experience than the first Hobbit film?
Absolutely.
The trailers are selling something entirely stronger, more filled with plot, incident, characters, much more specific action, elves, more stuff. And Azog is there for those people who really do like him. And yeah, and someone sent a note on the Torn Hotline that Azog was finished up at the last minute as a last-minute addition, and that's why his CGI wasn't completely polished. We have proof of that because we've got Gino Acevedo and some of the other CGI artists actually talking with us on Facebook admitting that. They admitted, as technicians, they admitted we were up against the wall. It was last minute. We had to put it all together. Azog was what he was in the first film. I would have preferred to have seen Azog done as a practical effects person, like Lurtz was done in the Fellowship of the Ring. But really, I would have preferred to see Lurtz as Azog done that way. But it's okay. In the end, Peter is trying to say, with the promise of these new advertisements, the new TV spots are on the air, the new trailer is there. What they're promising is a ramped up, very much more aggressive bit of storytelling with much more incident and action and stuff going on in the second film. And guess what? Excuse me for coughing a little bit. But I think this is one of the problems that Warner Brothers is facing in the marketplace. You've got diminishing interest in the second and third Hobbit film. Maybe that is a challenge that is present because a lot of people are talking about it online feeling like they felt burned by the first film. And if these casual fans, not the ringers that we are, but the casual fans have to be really convinced and really hot to trot to really go and spend money for the theatrical experience a second time around. But guess what? Look at Gravity. Look at what a really good marketing campaign can do for you. Gravity was not expected to make 55 or 56 million in its opening weekend, blowing October box office records out of the water. No one was expecting that. Read the article, read the analysis on boxofficemojo.com. But because Warner Brothers put out such a very successful marketing campaign with a movie that has only two people, Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, they're the only two people on screen, the only two people in the whole film, and you're limited to showing the stuff from Gravity without giving away too much of the plot. You know there's a disaster, you know that there's astronauts who are stranded in space, but you don't know too much about it beyond that. It's a really tricky thing to be in the position that they're in. The marketing people have millions of dollars to spend, and they've got to convince the general movie-going public this is an event. It's an event that you want to see in 3D. You want to pay the extra to see it in IMAX. You really do. And it's worth it. It's worth it to see The Hobbit on a big screen. They want to show it off in its biggest and brightest new format so that people can look at this experience and say, wow, there's nothing else like this in movies. This is why I go to a movie theater. This is why I pay $14.75 and an extra $5 for 3D so that I can see something that is unlike anything in my home theater, unlike anything on Redbox, certainly unlike anything I can have at home. This is the movie-going experience.
The problem is that I just went to see Gravity to see the new Hobbit trailer in 3D, and it didn't even have it in 3D.
A lot of people had that problem. A lot of people went to see Gravity, and they did not take the extra step to call the movie theaters. You can call the theater and say, hey, have you got that trailer attached to the movie?
And they told me yes, and I'm like, cool. And then
they told you yes.
And they didn't even play it.
And they didn't?
You know, they're theater workers. Like, they make minimum wage, and they don't care.
You need to talk to the right person in the theater. Man, you got to talk to the right people. I'm sorry that this happened to any of you. Talking to the guys in the chat room, okay? Tedorus is saying, I'm not about to say that there was nothing wrong with An Unexpected Journey. I do believe it could have been better, but I will always trust in PJ. He has proven his worth time and time again, and he will do so again. Dwina, hello Dwina, she says, An Unexpected Journey had too many last-minute changes to the story and to the script in order to complete the adaptation to 3 films. The Desolation of Smaug will not be burdened by that. Maybe, because they've got their storytelling pieces all in a row, and the story can be fully fleshed out. Maybe Peter recognizes that this is a much, much better film, and I hope it is. I've got my little fingers crossed. I've got my arms crossed. Down here below the table, I've got my legs crossed. Look, I've got my eyes crossed. I've got everything crossed in hope that The Desolation of Smaug cranks it up a notch. I do not believe in the cynicism. I will not live in Cynical Town, where Justin is over there living. In Cynical Town. I will not live in that black-hearted, evil, cynical town. But I don't think that there's a Phantom Menace comparison here. And I'm sick of hearing there's not a Phantom Menace comparison here.
There's definitely a Star Wars prequel comparison.
I thought you had laryngitis.
The first Star Wars prequel is just as bad as it was worse.
Do you know what?
An Unexpected Journey. But what
An Unexpected Journey does not have Jake Lloyd running around going yippee. Okay. The casting is perfect. The actors are brilliant. The pace of the movie is sweet and gentle. It takes 45 or 55 minutes to even get out of Hobbiton. And I'm glad that we linger, and we linger so long in Hobbiton, because that is the charm of the story. That's the reason why the story works. You're talking about the displacement, the fish out of water story of comfortable Bilbo living high on the hog in his little hobbit hole, eating all day and doing nothing all day, and then he gets pushed out of the door, out of the familiar and into the uncomfortable. That works. It's well established.
You know what doesn't work?
It's really fun.
Falling down a 500-foot cliff and into a cave and down into some water with nary a scratch on his knee.
Yeah, there's a lot of unrealistic falls, but all of Peter's movies are filled with unrealistic falls. I mean, people fall out of
when
windows
Gandalf
and off
falls,
ledges
you feel like he died.
because you
almost
know
you cry.
I did. We all cried when Gandalf died.
When people fall in Middle Earth, you cry.
Yeah, but
Or-
nobody
or-
died in the first film. The
Or
reason
when
why
Denethor falls, he dies. But when Bilbo falls the same height as Denethor, he's just like, wipe off my elbows.
well, it looks
and-
like Bilbo landed on a bunch of squishy mushrooms. Bilbo landed on these fungi in the bottom of the cave.
I didn't see any fungi.
Didn't you see all the squishy, weird mushrooms that Bilbo landed
I
on?
didn't see or
In
hear
fact,
such.
a lot of
They might
sound-
be
a
in
lot
the
of
book,
sound-
but it wasn't
No.
in the movie.
A lot of sound designers and sound editors I've talked to have been applauding the sound effect of those squishy, weird mushrooms and fungi that Bilbo lands on top of. Lucky that they were there. Lucky they were there for Bilbo to land on. I know. What are the chances?
Here's what scares me is that episode 2 of Star Wars prequels had this totally contrived love story that was so wooden and awkward between Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Sitting in the
Yeah.
middle of a field.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it was-
I
it was-
hate the wooden acting
Oh, it
between
was-
talented
okay,
actors.
it
I
was
know
a
Hayden
forced-
Christensen and I know Natalie Portman are much more talented than that. I agree.
So it was a forced, unnecessary romance in episode 2 of the prequels, and here we are in another episode 2 prequel, and there are hints all around of a love interest and a forced
No.
love story.
A
and
forced
he
love
has
story?
Feelings for you. Make sure he doesn't have
No.
anything.
Hey guys, what?
So
Oh my gosh, there are pod creatures that have sprung out of the pods, and they're here now, invading our. I could have handed that to you.
Invading my desk.
I could have handed that to you. I know. Thanks, Francisco.
call the war moose.
Of course, of course. No, guys, look. Is that the war moose sound? Justin is doing the war moose that Thranduil rides. Go ahead, do it one more time, Justin. Do that war moose one more time.
One more. No. Can't.
You're not going to do it again? No. Okay. I hope you heard it. That was funny. Let me put it this way, guys. We're going to put some perspective, okay? Everybody at the studio is worried about diminishing returns. Everybody at Warner Brothers is understandably worried about the fact that
There's no
That-
diminishing
that-
returns. The whole thing's paid for and profitable. There's no diminishing anything except the
did you read the
quality
Forbes
of the
article?
fan experience.
what if the fans who felt burnt by an unexpected journey do not buy as many tickets for the big
It
3D?
doesn't matter. The whole thing's already paid for and profitable. The whole thing. The whole.
You're
trilogy.
right. That's
It
also
could-
true.
this-
That's
this
also
could be a
true.
Total bust.
But
this could be worse than the room.
there's another billion to be
It's still
made.
Profitable.
There's another billion to be made on the Desolation of
Right.
Smaug if they can get the fans to keep coming back. How many times did you guys go and see The Fellowship of the Ring in multiple screenings in the theater compared to how many times you paid for a ticket and went back to multiple screenings of An Unexpected Journey in the theater? I want to ask the chat room right now. Okay?
I personally saw Fellowship. Of
Yeah,
the
he
Ring
is tricking me. He said he wasn't going
11.
to talk, and he's talking the whole time.
11 times in theaters.
11 times? Okay.
Fellowship of the Ring. You know how many times I saw Unexpected Journey? Once.
Good question from the chat room about Eol. He said, Quick Beam, did you feel that Radagast was Jar Jar-esque as a character?
Oh yeah.
You weren't asked. I was. Actually, I thought that Radagast was built in to have more of an appeal, much more appealing to younger audience members, especially with the bird nesting on top of his shiny bald head. No, Radagast was designed to have a more youthful appeal. You know, pulling a stick insect out of his mouth and smoke coming out of his ears and, you know, trying to resuscitate a hedgehog. All that stuff. Yes, maybe. But he was nowhere near that slapsticky base humor level of... I mean, he had bird poop on his face, maybe, but at least he didn't step on it. You know, Bantha Poodoo. You know, Jar Jar is in a class all by himself. he was.
No, like the cross your eyes and oh, I just took my first stoke. Oh.
So
That was as Jar Jar as you can get.
I don't know
right?
about that.
What kind of wizard has never smoked? First off, and then what kind of wizard who Gandalf has never
Gandalf
smoked?
seems to, according
And
to
what
Tolkien,
what type
Gandalf
of
is the only one of the wizards who seems to have taken such a liking to the culture and the ways of the hobbits that he picks up some of their hobbity
But if he is such a
habits,
wizard
and that
of
includes
the forest,
Longbottom Leaf.
Right, but he had to have tested it or something. He's such a wizard of the woods. But his overreactions are just over the top.
Okay, all right. People are telling me that they saw An Unexpected Journey twice, Fellowship of the Ring 3 times. Some person said, I saw The Hobbit 6 times. Some person said, I saw Fellowship 5, An Unexpected Journey 3. Partly because it's so expensive nowadays. Now, does that have more to do with people feeling the recession over the past couple of years and the sting on their wallets, or is that a reflection of diminishing interest in the fandom?
It's a
I don't think so.
reflection of the quality of the film. Gravity set records this weekend because of word of mouth, because it's that good.
Gravity is the best reviewed film of the year by far.
Gravity left my heart racing for 3 hours.
Me too. Gravity left me completely shaken and claustrophobic, and I felt like I was trapped for 90 minutes in outer space. It was absolutely stunning. The camera work and the way the movie was shot and constructed is nothing short of virtuosic.
And it was $18.
$18? Yeah, I saw it in 2D. I didn't pay extra for the 3D.
No,
I saw it in 2D, and it still blew me away.
You chose poorly.
I had a reason. I had a medical reason. One of our
You didn't have a medical reason. Someone you went with had a medical reason.
My partner has a bad eye and cannot physically see 3D.
The best
so we will
way-
never go to 3D movies.
So that doesn't.
So we took a bunch of friends to the 2D.
Experience you can have at the movies.
It's not foregone to me. I'm still going back to see Gravity again on IMAX 3D.
In IMAX.
I promise you I will. I'm not excluding myself from seeing it. I'm just saying I was very impressed with it, even though it was only 2D. Very impressed.
3D,
mind blown.
IMAX
Absolutely stunning.
Is the way to see that movie.
I was so impressed with the fact that the movie was so carefully put together, and you feel like you're caught in weightlessness. And like the guy, the reviewer in the New York Times, who gave the movie a glowing review, says that throughout the entire 90 minutes of running time of Gravity, nothing in the film is in a fixed vertical or horizontal plane. Everything is weightlessness through the entire film, and it is unsettling and remarkable. It's eye-opening as well as unnerving at the same time.
What was the word you used to describe it? Careful?
Virtuosic.
No.
That's the word I keep using to describe Gravity. We are very lucky.
That's the first time you've used virtuosic today.
I used it in my
You just
Facebook
said
post
carefully.
too.
And
The shots are very carefully constructed. The movie is very deliberately,
that's how
carefully
you feel
put together.
about the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah?
You watch it and you say, this film has been carefully constructed.
Yes.
With carefully constructed.
Yes.
And you don't get that from The Hobbit.
You mean The Hobbit doesn't seem to be as carefully constructed? The Hobbit seems to be taking us on a nice leisurely road journey.
Yeah, leisurely and lazy. But I could be wrong. I mean, go to the chat room. What do the fans think? Do you guys really feel that
oh my gosh,
The Hobbit is
Gothmog, Lieutenant Gothmog, she says that she's never seen any movie in 3D ever. If you guys take yourselves to see something in 3D, go see Gravity in 3D, because that's part of the effectiveness of visual storytelling.
Look, the cinemas
is that we
of
always
Mordor,
feel like we are weightless.
The cinemas of Mordor aren't as technologically sophisticated.
The cinemas in Mordor are still using talkies in black and white. Gothmog, come up to the modern day.
Record on. You could picture an orc like putting a needle on a record to get the audio going.
You know what? Teteris reminds us, and I think that's a very adroit observation. Thank you, Teteris. How can we judge how it has been constructed, we've only seen 1/3 of it. Right, Justin?
What?
We've only seen 1/3 of the
Doesn't
Hobbit
matter.
trilogy.
If you release
So
a
how can-
movie, it needs to be good. The Fellowship of the Ring was a good movie on its own. The
Yep.
Two Towers was an even better movie.
Yes.
Just on its own.
The Two Towers is the best movie of the LOTR trilogy
It
by
is.
far.
And
By far.
the second movies, a lot of second movies are some of the best. The Godfather 2, Star Wars.
Yeah, Godfather 2.
5,
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
not Indy.
I wouldn't
not
Indy.
prequels.
No. I wouldn't say that the
Dark
second.
Knight.
I wouldn't say the second Harry Potter film is great.
The second
Chamber of
director-
Secrets is pretty good.
The second director
The second director
of
was
Harry
the best.
Potter.
And that would be Alfonso Cuarón,
Cuarón,
who did Gravity. Yes,
So,
as we've talked about.
So if you consider the second director, the second film,
Thank you, Murtaugh. I agree with you.
and of course the Dark Knight. The second
Yep, The
movie,
Dark Knight. Yep,
so,
yep. But-
I have high expectations for this second movie.
We have much higher expectations, and we should.
I saw.
We should. Do you think that Peter has not been listening to us on this show for all these times? Do you think that they haven't read Facebook posts and people making certain complaints about AUJ? DOS has to deliver. Peter knows that it has to deliver. He is remaking it and re-editing the film right now
Here's the
at this very moment
This-
to prove that he can make a better Hobbit film. He knows what's at stake.
Do you?
Yes,
do
he
you
does.
honestly think it? So that answers my question.
What?
That I posed to you earlier.
About whether he would put his own money into it to make it a better film?
You just said is Peter? You think that Peter Jackson is listening to the reaction and is
You know they are. You know that
trying to-
everybody at Weta, hello everybody in New Zealand,
No, is
we
Peter-
know that the
I
filmmakers
don't know-
are watching.
I don't know if,
We know.
I don't know if Peter is. I think Peter's in a whole separate place in his filmmaking. He's in the George Lucas level of mindset where he's like,
You
I'm
weren't.
gonna
You're
make
not
my
there.
movie.
You're not there.
Peter Jackson, like George Lucas, is just gonna make the movie he wants to make.
If that were the case, then
That's it.
no. You're.
Yeah.
I think that that is characterizing Peter Jackson in a wildly unfair way. That's not even close. Peter Jackson continues to make first-person production blogs for all of us to see. Lucas has never done that and never will. Peter Jackson
he
is
totally
so
did.
Peter Jackson is so interested in the way fans are reacting. He shows the Hobbitception reaction of Keely and Feely, our Hobbit girls, and lets Lee Pace and Evangeline and Orlando have a
Peter
reaction
had
to their
nothing to
reaction,
do with that.
and then he
That
posts
was-
that. That is symptomatic of a filmmaker who's really tuned in to his fan
That's
base.
not Peter Jackson. We got the whole story at Comic-Con. Evangeline Lilly told us that it was the makeup department's assistant that showed everybody the video and then showed it to the third AD, and the third AD is like, oh, we got to show this to Orlando. And then
Yeah,
Peter had
yeah.
nothing to do with the Happy Hobbit.
Until he agreed to have it posted on his Facebook timeline for
he
all of us to
doesn't
see.
control his Facebook. That's controlled by
Oh, he
the marketing
absolutely
department.
has some yay or nay to say there.
No.
Do you want to
He
come over here and join me on camera? I'm talking to Justin. He's like hiding over there. Listen. Yeah, Justin is doing an audition for Grumpy the Dwarf. That is correct, Tim Dolph. Yes, he is. And you know what, by the way? This is Justin's copy of The Hobbit, the one that he has never cracked open to read. Here it is. It's called
Oh, you know, that's where
the
it
Pocket
was.
Edition. I told you I had it. Here's the Pocket Edition of
I
The
had
Hobbit.
bought this version of the Pocket Edition of The
It is-
Hobbit for a road trip, and Cliff took it.
He stole it from us.
I did not steal
He
it from
stole it from
you.
the Truxels, and we didn't have it for the road trips.
Yes, I told you before you left. Do you want it back? And you're like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
No, you took it.
Here it is.
He took it.
And on the inside of it, you will find wonderful pages of The Hobbit that have yet to be looked at by that guy sitting over there. He stole it from us. I didn't steal it from you. Hey, Murtaugh, I see that you're here in the room with us today. I've got something for you. Are you there, Murtaugh? Are you there, my friend? I know
What
you're
does he
there.
need to know
Say hello
about
in the chat room if you're still with us, my friend. I have something right here for you. This is a copy. Well, it's a copy of the box. Ha ha ha! Look, there's even a couple of dollars in there. You even put a couple of dollar bills in there. That's really cute. That's very, very cute. Is that actually in here for real? Oh, that's so cool. There you go. This is signed and autographed for you, Murtaugh. I'm sending this back to you in the mail. Very good. Ha 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 ha. And thank you. I appreciate that. my friend. We're sending this back to New York. Yes,
Who needs
somewhere in
meeting?
upstate New York.
I can watch movies.
Thank you, Sean. This is for you. It's autographed. We're sending it back to you. This is great stuff.
About
Now,
time.
I
2
want
months
to talk about the
later.
frame-by-frame analysis. When you look at our new story, the new wonderful headline that we just published on TheOneRing.net, why don't you take a look at where we have posted our amazing frame-by-frame analysis, where the staff of TheOneRing.net have looked over and over and over and over again at this trailer, the newest trailer. Hey, do we have it to show? Do we have the ability to show it?
No.
No, we can't show it.
No, Precious.
It looks like someone is calling the Torn hotline. Hello, you're on Torn Live.
Hey,
Hello, who's this?
Rebecca, M. Knight's here in the chat room.
Hello there, Rebecca. Welcome to the live show. Welcome. We're talking on my iPhone. The Torn hotline is on if you guys want to join the show. Rebecca, did you have something to say to Justin and his staunch cynicism?
Absolute ridiculousness of comparing George Lucas and Peter Jackson.
Well, the ridiculousness of it, he's been doing that for about 25 years before he came out of the womb.
I mean, it's hard to compare them. I mean, sure, like the original Star Wars they were decent, they were solid, they were amazing. I love them. But you can tell from when he went back that he was like, let's make some money, and then he went into the, I guess, prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
But Peter Jackson always put so much more effort in all of his films.
Yes.
Than George Lucas ever has.
I agree. And I also agree that Peter has made more of an effort on making those films from a fan-centric point of view. And I really think he's trying to juggle the demands of doing a multi-million-dollar franchise. At the same time, he's trying to add more stuff to make the fans happier. I'm pretty sure George Lucas doesn't give a damn about putting stuff in to make the fans happy.
Yeah, I mean, and in interviews, I think Peter Jackson's referenced it, and so have like other like people in Reddit and whatnot, of acknowledging the mistakes they've made, and like, hey, they just didn't get to it. It just wasn't time. But George Lucas and any of his people have never been like, you know what, we made a mistake. We couldn't fix it. Like, even some of the actors, like I had a professor in my undergrad who interviewed Natalie Portman about the original Star Wars trilogy, and
Yeah.
couldn't believe how arrogant and short-sighted Natalie Portman was about the acting job she did. She's like, God, I wish I'd never done Star Wars. They were horrible. The dialogue was horrible. And she couldn't believe that Natalie Portman would have said something like that in an interview.
Yeah, and you know what?
All the actors.
Do you think that Peter works with his actors more than George Lucas works with his actors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do. Justin, do you think that Peter Jackson works more with his actors than George ever would? Don't you agree? Yeah? Don't you think that Uncle George couldn't bother working with his actors and Peter works with them much, much more?
Yes, Precious.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Rebecca, good. Thank you for bringing that opinion on here. Murtaugh. Hey, Sean, it's okay. Who's on the phone? Rebecca's on the phone. Just because he's grumpy pants, it makes for an interesting discussion. At least we're talking about it. In terms of fan outreach, reaching out to the fans, and providing story content that is more of interest to the fan base, Peter wins hands down. However, I can understand why Justin and other naysayers would want to make the connection between Star Wars prequel trilogy, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Return, Revenge of the Sith. I can see why, but The Hobbit is, somewhat different, and I don't think it really earns that comparison because it is supposed to be a smaller scale story told with more gentleness, more of a fairy tale flair. This is where Middle-earth seems to be a little bit more like Narnia. Do you know what I mean, Rebecca? Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Hobbit...
Well, the story's more sophisticated. You have to consider where the story and the plot and the character development came from. George Lucas was immediately doing screenplays, and
Yes.
doing it that way.
Yeah.
But the story of The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, is more sophisticated. It came from Tolkien.
Right. Agreed.
Peter Jackson has more of a foundation from which to pull from. So sure, like An Unexpected Journey could have had more. I mean, it's an adaptation. There's just no way to do that perfectly. I mean, it's the same reason that people make the argument, well, Peter Jackson's version of like Middle Earth isn't the true version, like purists will say. But the only person who's going to have a true vision of Middle Earth is Tolkien himself, and unfortunately, he's been gone for a really long time. So Peter Jackson couldn't go to Tolkien and be like, "Hey, how can I do this in such a way where it's more true and pure to your vision?" So he did what he could with it, and it's amazing.
I think it's quite amazing. I was very pleased with An Unexpected Journey, but I was not blown away like I was by Fellowship. But I was still very pleased with it. But it didn't strike lightning in a bottle, and I don't think you can get lightning in a bottle twice anyways. But thank you, Rebecca, for your insights. All right, we'll see you on the chat. Moving on. Okay, very good. Thank you, dear. So here's the thing. Justin. Precious. Listen, Justin, my friend. We're getting a lot of responses on the Torn Hotline. This is an engaging conversation. And
here, someone actually said in the chat room that there were more wow moments in An Unexpected Journey than there was in the entire Star Wars prequels.
More wow moments?
Yeah, and
yeah.
You hesitate. I'll hesitantly agree. But again, one of the big issues with Unexpected Journey, that not just me but multiple people, reviewers and fanboys and fangirls have noted about Unexpected Journey.
Yes.
Is some of the same issues that Star Wars had, especially the first Star Wars prequel had, which is there's always a bigger fish. Nobody was ever frightened or scared for their lives, or there wasn't any depth of feeling of like actual danger or tragedy. They're on the side of a cliff, and and
the stone giants,
and then they and then they just like and then they fall down 1,000 feet, and then they just get up and go and then they're like in front of the Goblin King. And
that is one of the distinctions that makes The Hobbit different from The Lord of the Rings. No deaths. The peril, the sense of dire peril is less in The Hobbit, purposefully so. Don't you think that would be deliberate? Because that allows Peter to do what Professor Tolkien did. He starts The Hobbit off very gently. You're in Narnia land, talking beavers and talking fawns and talking lions, and you're in a children's fantasy land.
We're not there. We're intentionally not there. We're
in
the world of Middle Earth
that
Peter Jackson created.
The Middle Earth
where
that
the wargs don't talk.
The Middle Earth
the eagles don't talk.
We wouldn't have this conversation if the Hobbit movies were made before the Lord of the Rings trilogy, would we? If we had our introduction to Middle Earth with the Hobbit movies being made first, 10 years ago, this conversation would be moot, and I'll tell you why.
This conversation would be moot if someone else directed.
We are introduced to a softer, gentler Middle Earth, and the risks are not that high. The stakes, are not that high at the beginning of The Hobbit, and then the Tolkien, as he wrote The Hobbit, he changed the tone of his writing, and he deliberately changed where he was going to make it more heroic, to make it more a sense of a saga that had much more dire consequences and much more at stake for these characters. Not just an individual hobbit being taken out of his comfort zone, but what is at stake is an entire kingdom and the lineage and the ancestry of a great, great people. And there's a battle, and there's a tone of the Battle of the Five Armies. There is betrayal, turncoat, backstabbing, sneaking, political maneuvers, racial hatred, and there's allies and alliances that are given and broken and changed, and all these interesting complexities that happen in The Lord of the Rings is something that Tolkien was eventually going to get to, but he started off The Hobbit with a very pastoral, a very gentle, rolling green hills, Candyland in the Shire, and then things get really sticky and icky. By the time The Hobbit changes, I think that Peter Jackson's Hobbit films are going to bring it in line with The Lord of the Rings, so that that heraldic fury that you have in the Lord of the Rings will be there, and it will make narrative sense.
Yeah,
I think it will
heard
make
this
narrative sense by the
rationalization
time
before.
the hexology of films, all 6 in a row, are going to make much more narrative sense when we see them all together.
I've heard
That's what I'm trying to say.
Rationalization before, and it was provided by Rick McCallum,
Yeah.
justifying George Lucas's decision on the youthful nature of Episode 1.
Oh, so you've heard Rick McCallum
I've heard this exact
Say
almost
this-
that exact same speech.
as a defense of Episode 1.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, The Phantom Menace rates at about a 3. About a 3 for me. The Hobbit is definitely up above a 7.5 or an 8.
An 8.
Yeah, for
An
sure.
8.
Easily. 7.5.
If Two Towers
8.
is a 10,
Two Towers is an 11. Two Towers is beyond rating.
Two Towers is a 10.
Yeah.
Uh,
Return of the King is a 9.
9.
Fellowship of the Ring is a
8.
9.
8.5.
No, Fellowship of the Ring is definitely a 9.
It's definitely a 9. I'll give
Fellowship
you
of
that.
the Ring, Return of the King are 9s. The
extended
Two Towers is a
edition-
10.
The extended edition Fellowship is an 8.
Well, I don't think Fellowship Extended has any problems.
But
Return of the King Extended has a couple of slight issues, but I'm so grateful to see the extra 12 minutes of Christopher Lee and to learn about the actual demise of Saruman. I'm much more grateful for that than anything.
Here's what I'm.
But yeah,
afraid
I
of.
would say The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey is a
Hobbit
7.5 or an 8.
An unexpected.
Fellowship is a 9.
An unexpected journey is so not rescuable that I'm actually not looking forward to the extended edition.
Really? Okay.
I think it's that faulted. It's that faulty.
Well, then why don't you not see the extended edition, and then we won't have to bear listening to you complain about it for half an hour. Oh, SmackDown! SmackDown on Torn Tuesday! Ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
you are
precious.
watching TheOneRing.net. You are watching the new Siskel and Ebert really go at each other, right? That's, he's hiding over there. He's laughing and laughing and laughing. That's fantastic. Okay, you guys, all right. You guys are, thank you, Moyor. And hello,
haven't seen
hello,
Luke
Tarak
go.
Noyle. I am glad that you joined it late. Boffer's wife, are you eating ham tonight? Okay, look.
Okay, precious.
everybody-
We've got more to talk about.
We've got to talk about this, the screen caps that we did. Beautiful, high-res screen caps. A
But
scene-by-scene
you have to click them.
trailer analysis. If you guys haven't seen it yet, go to the front page of TheOneRing.net and look at the top story we have with our analysis, frame-by-frame analysis. Hey, there's a scene that I didn't even notice. There's a scene where you can see the claws of Smaug the dragon moving forward, and in the background you can see a tiny little Bilbo moving in the background. And what about Beorn? Hey, we've got to talk about Beorn because the full image of Beorn from the front is now available and visible online. Shall we show it? Hey guys, take a look at what the marketing campaign is giving us so far. This is what we're all talking about what Warner Brothers is spending. This is my favorite image so far, this poster. See this? I'm going to hold this back here so you guys can see this. This image is really, really cool. I think it shows the desolation of Smaug in a literal way, right? A literal way where tiny, lonely Bilbo, without any support from Gandalf, no help from his friends, Thorin and company are not represented. Unlike that famous poster they did for An Unexpected Journey, with all the floating, remember the floating heads of all the dwarves? It had all the dwarves all crammed together, like Toy Story 3, where it had all the toys crammed together
it
in
felt
one big
like
shot.
a 1970s movie album cover.
That dwarves, all the heads of the
Yeah.
dwarves. This is interesting because we see an isolated, lonely Bilbo right outside the ruins of Dale.
And that's where they got it
Right
backwards.
outside the ruins of Dale.
See, that's
This
that's
is
my,
fascinating
That's
to
my
me. I
issue.
love this image.
That's my issue with this poster.
Love
is
this image.
They've got it backwards. Bilbo's supposed to be the guy we like, and the mountain is supposed to be lonely. But instead, they've got a lonely Bilbo
At the Lonely Mountain.
and
I think
a
it's
heroic
appropriate.
mountain.
It's completely appropriate.
They've got it backwards.
They've got a lonely Bilbo in front of a lonely mountain. I think it's great.
Give me Bilbo's big face and put a lonely mountain
The
in front of
reason
it.
the reason why that poster is so effective as a teaser poster, guys, is because we revisit the opening 7 minutes of An Unexpected Journey, which were awesome. That epic opening where
Is that Dale or Erebor?
it's both Dale and Erebor are shown being destroyed. But the place where Bilbo is standing right now, you can tell he's on the outskirts of Dale. Look at the ruined wall. Look, see? Do you see this? This ruined wall and this ruined stairs and the edifice. These are edifices not of Erebor, but of Dale. Okay? Erebor is inside the mountain. I want to make sure you guys know the distinction. Erebor is inside the mountain. All right?
Okay, Precious.
Dale was the community of men living outside.
Where's the good posters? Because we had great posters for the Unexpected Journey.
Okay, that's funny. You guys are texting me all kinds of funny things.
Pick
Yes,
up.
I am on fire.
want
Hobbit
more-
fan
I want more
202.
posters.
I am definitely on fire.
Those are
All right.
3D
Now,
posters.
here's the scoop on the poop. Pipsky says that this weekend in San Antonio, Texas, there's a convention called AlamoCon. Guess who's showing up? Sean Astin, who played Samwise, of course. Adam Brown, who plays
Oi,
Ori, the scribe. And Dean O'Gorman, who plays Feely.
stupid fat hobbitses.
That's going to be great. Hello, Pipsky. Glad to have you back on the show. And while you're there this weekend at the convention at the AlamoCon, give my regards and take my hat off. I take my hats and say, oh, Clifford from TheOneRing.net says, hats off, and he bows. I will bow elegantly for Sean Astin, and he is a gentleman and a scholar. He's super awesome sauce.
I like
And
Texas.
we have Adam Brown and Dean O'Gorman. Hello, guys. I cannot wait to interview Dean O'Gorman soon. Adam Brown is an excellent gentleman and a scholar.
It
Now,
doesn't smell like hobbitses.
guess what we have been talking about? There's also another article that we had on TheOneRing.net saying, where are the posters? Why is it for Desolation of Smaug we're not getting a whole big series of character profile posters? It's very interesting. We're not seeing
You
that
know
this
what?
year.
And that was
Like
it was
last year.
inappropriately phrased, and I take issue with the person who phrased that
In the
headline.
article?
That
Why?
Misleading, because we didn't get character posters.
There were dozens of character posters
No, there
revealed at Comic-Con.
No, those were one-off 3D lenticulars for Comic-Con. They never released those as posters.
They were never released to the public ever.
Ever.
No.
So
but
it's
the images,
misleading.
but the images were released and they were used as part of the marketing campaign. I mean, when you went down to the Grove Shopping Center to see their outdoor Hobbit display with the props and the ring and Gandalf's
They had
staff
the
and all
same
that stuff,
posters. But
yeah, they had the
got
3D
one city
lenticulars
in
there.
one city in the whole country. It's inappropriate to call them, where are the posters, when it's like, oh, one-off marketing stunts.
Are you Aughra from the Dark Crystal pulling your eye out? Mm-hmm. Yep. Here you go. Hey guys, this is my Aughra eye. Gelfling?
Stupid.
Can't be Gelfling. Gelfling all dead. Gotham kill them all.
You see what I have to do with all the day?
You look like Gelfling.
All day,
Smell like
every
Gelfling?
day.
Maybe you are a Gelfling. There you go. There's my Aughra for you. There's my Dark Crystal.
Stupid.
And here's her
Wish you'd
floating
just
eye.
go home.
I had to do my Aughra bit because I love the Dark Crystal. I really, really, really do.
Who
Thank
cares
you.
about crystals when you have precious.
I say that those character posters that they did, which were Thorin and Company, basically, there was also Galadriel. There was
Those
no.
weren't ride release
There was-
posters. They shouldn't have been called posters. They should have been called marketing key art images. And
Okay, okay.
And we have our first marketing key art image this week.
No, we're not drunk. Gothmog, we're sober as a stone in the bottom of the river. We are stone sober, super sober.
We are
We're just
drunk with Bjorn.
we're just funny. We're funny and we're enthusiastic.
drunk with Bjorn.
That's all.
I've been wanting to show this Bjorn off. Haven't you, Cliff? Remember when you saw the first time you saw this picture of Bjorn? You were live on camera and you couldn't turn the camera. You couldn't turn the iPad around and show the world. You were just like, yeah. What was your first reaction? Because I remember this. You were live on the air when you saw Bjorn like this for the first time.
Yes, I was live. Are you going to show it?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys ready for the Bjorn?
And so, what did you think when you first saw him?
I thought of an 80s hair band. I thought of an early 80s hair band. I thought, is this, like, are you showing it now? Are you about to show it? The first thing I thought of was, that looks like a really cool, spiky wig that, might be in an 80s band. That's what I really thought.
I just want a clip of your reaction of looking at Bjorn.
Really? What was my reaction?
It was just like, that's really him. That's really, like, you were flabbergasted that
Was I?
This was in a Peter Jackson film.
Well, I always pictured Bjorn as having a black beard, big black beard, and I thought that he was almost like a big pirate-looking guy. Like, and I don't mean a Will Turner pirate with a little wisp of a mustache. I mean, like, who was the character actor who played Blackbeard in On Stranger Tides? We love that guy. What's his guy? What's his name?
But
that guy.
Here's where I'm going with all this. I'm afraid that this is just another disappointing prequel trilogy that will still make $3 billion. Because Star Wars still made $3 billion. Is that your first reaction to the great Bjorn when I first showed it to you live on the air was utter amazement, disgust, horrifying, surprise, shock?
I was bemused. I was very bemused.
Nothing, but none of those, I would say, were in a supportive nature. You were just like, whoa.
That, because it was so... The first look I had at Bjorn, I have to admit, was so different from my expectations of what Bjorn was and the way he's described by Professor Tolkien. I have to admit...
exact argument.
I have to admit that my first seeing of Bjorn, my first moment of witnessing Bjorn, was a bit uncomfortable. I will admit that. Because it was way outside of my expectations.
That's my whole argument with the Hobbit trilogy, is that since Peter Jackson
But I didn't have those problems with anything else in An Unexpected Journey.
This is the exact problem I'm having as a viewer, is that I'm coming into the Hobbit movies as a continuation of the experience I had with Peter Jackson in Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth.
Yeah.
And it's just a series of surprising disappointments.
Well, that's one man's opinion. That's one man's opinion.
And it's exactly how you felt, and most of the fans felt about seeing Bjorn for the first time.
Thank you, Ustreamer 494 and Ustreamer 686. They said it was Ian McShane. I always thought that Bjorn was going to look like Ian McShane with a black beard and a very large temper and a very imposing, dangerous appearance. And this Bjorn that we have here, show him. Let's show the new Bjorn. This Bjorn reminded me a bit of, a flock of seagulls meets Aha meets Grizzly Adams. A little bit of that, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. But it's still kind of cool that the distinct facial hair of Bjorn is on the bear at the same time it's on the human form of him. Remember that long mural, the storytelling mural that they did for An Unexpected Journey? Remember that beautiful piece of artwork that showed all the episodes and the chapters of The Hobbit going through the entire thing? Remember that? Well, at the very end of that, you actually saw Gandalf standing there talking to Bjorn, and Bjorn is there with these big mutton chop sideburns. They're visible on the bear. It's the same facial hair you see on the man, on Mikael Persbrandt. Okay? And yes, Justin is being a curmudgeonly type, but that's okay. It makes for a good show.
I love Bjorn. How come
All
I'm
right.
the only guy that likes Bjorn, and I'm the curmudgeon?
I Stole the One Ring says, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure about Bjorn. And
See, you guys got it all wrong.
TF Drum says he needs to be huge and imposing. That is not.
I stand by my original assessment. He is the best reveal of the Hobbit movie trilogy thus far.
The best reveal?
He is the best reveal.
Why? Because we saw him on the back end of a calendar that was photographed by a potato. We didn't even get to see what Beorn really looks like until that was a mistake for that licensed image to be out there in the public.
A trickle and a tease that the
Yeah.
OneRing has been able to
Yes.
to bring you all these exclusives, and there's so many more exclusives that we're sitting on.
Pipsquay says that Beorn looks more like Conan the Barbarian type of character. I'd go with that.
Perfect.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a
and he
Conan
doesn't
type character.
Look like
Yeah.
anything before. He doesn't look like Will Turner.
It doesn't.
Look like
Okay.
he doesn't look like a bumbling oaf of a
Master of Lake Town, bumbling.
Master of Lake Town.
Do you know? I would find it interesting that.
Did you see the behind the scenes thing with
Yeah.
the Master of Lake
Yes.
Town where he's got his own little smee?
Yeah, and he's got his little shmee.
Shmee.
Yeah, he's got his, like Captain Hook has his shmee. Did you know what? It's interesting that Peter would choose to show the Master of Lake Town, who is a political figure, a figurehead. It is very interesting to see a political figure being like, like a puppet who is being manipulated behind the scenes and isn't that strong of a leader. Hey, there's where cynicism comes in today's political process, because many people and many Americans feel that their political leaders are a bunch of tools that are being manipulated by other powers and other forces behind the curtain. And I think that is an appropriate way to show a political leader in Middle-earth, that he might be something of a Dummkopf, and he's a bumbling wacky bird, and maybe he's being manipulated by his little evil advisor whispering in his ear. It's also a parallel to Wormtongue and Saruman. However, in that relationship,
Oh, look.
Saruman always had the...
parallel. An unnecessary prequel parallel.
But it's not
Let's
it's
continue
not
the
exactly a
Star Wars
parallel. It's
comparison.
not. It can't be. It can't be an exact parallel. It's not that close of an analogy. Although I think there's a suggestion of it that people will talk about. I'm saying that Saruman was always the smarter one than Grima, Wormtongue. Saruman always was in control and always had the upper hand, and he was the motivator who made all the decisions. We have yet to see if the Master of Lake Town is as smart or as motivated as Saruman was.
Star Wars Episode 2, suddenly
We have yet to see that.
We see that someone has secretly created this huge army of clones, and nobody knew that this army was being created, and Obi-Wan finds out, oh my god, there's a whole army of clones. Who authorized this? And suddenly...
Cypher Diaz authorized.
Cypher Diaz. Oh, Master Cypher Diaz. Okay,
Do you know what?
Like some rabbit out of a hat that nobody knows
No,
about.
that was an assumed identity that Palpatine took. And what's most interesting about Attack of the
And guess
Clones
what's gonna happen?
is that nowhere is it extrapolated in an obvious way. The audience is left to figure it out. That Palpatine went and took the identity of a dead Jedi and used it as a fake surname so he could go to that planet. What was the planet called? Where they where they make the clones.
Matter, but the point I'm trying to make is
Camino.
that
Camino is the planet, but Cypher Diaz was a fake thing that was ingenious for Palpatine to go and make all that effort so he could have a clone army available. That was ingenious.
We're gonna see that the Sauron, through the Necromancer, is assembling an army.
That's right.
Again. Assembling an army again. Don't they make a hint of that in the new trailer?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes, in the new trailer we see that Sauron's eye, the flaming eye of Sauron, is flashed at you. It's visible. It's there, and you realize there's marching armies, and they're obviously coming out of Dol Guldur.
A surprise to all the good guys, and I'm thinking, God, this is episode 2 of
And
Star Wars.
and you hear Gandalf. You know, it is not episode 2 of Star Wars.
The secret army being built by the bad guy under a watchful but blind eye.
Perhaps it's the other way around.
Of the ever-present wizards / Jedi that are supposed to know everything and keep the peace. And they don't realize that the Dark Lord has been assembling power under their very nose?
Why are you not?
I've seen this before.
Why are you not on camera telling these people this? Why are you hiding over there?
Precious.
My precious.
Precious.
Oh my God. Step into the light. Don't be shy.
No.
Don't be shy. Step into the light. Come on, Justin. Step into the light. The light. Step into the light, Carol-Ann. Step into the light, Carol-Ann. Oh my gosh, I'm making a Poltergeist reference. And any of you guys who are old enough to know that, you know good movies when you know them. Bumbling Bulbasaur. Yeah, people in the chat room are calling you a bumbling Bulbasaur. That's a good one. I agree with Dezino. Beorn needs a Viking-like beard. I would have liked a Viking-like, like a Beowulf appearance. I would have really liked a Beowulf type of Viking, aggro-looking, bearded Beorn. That's what I would have liked, but we got what we got.
Original.
It's very original. Now, hello there, all of my friends in the chat room. Hello, Brighter Moon. It's great to see you on the show, even though I know it's approaching 2 or 3 in the morning in the United Kingdom. I'm not sure if Emily, Stargate Geek, is here or not, but
So, you know,
the flash of Sauron in that trailer is deliberate. The flash of the eye, the movement of the armies, the fact that Gandalf has this overflowing dialogue where he says, "While we have been blind, our enemy has been moving." All of this represents the same idea that The Hobbit, by the end of the Hobbit trilogy, is going to be indistinguishable from Fellowship of the Ring, and the hexology of 6 films is going to be seamless. He's going to bring it all together.
With Star Wars, and it took an animated
No.
series to make all the good connections.
It took an animated series. It took Genndy Tartakovsky and his little 3-minute mini episodes of the Clone Wars to really inspire us with visual storytelling. Peter has given us a lot of inspired visual storytelling. I thought that Goblin Town was inspired because Professor Tolkien says in the book that the goblins are very crafty and clever with their hands. And they make all the scaffolding, and they make all those little things, and they have a rickshaw town under the mountain. It's cool.
Yeah.
The stone giants are really inspired. Peter brings the 3 trolls to life, and at the same time he realizes that there's comedy, Three Stooges style. He gives us some Three Stooges comedy. There isn't any of that kind of comedy in The Lord of the Rings.
Merry and
There's
Pippin
no
were
time for
funnier
it.
than those
There's
trolls ever
no
were.
time for Three Stooges comedy in the trilogy of Lord of the Rings because the
Yeah,
stakes are too high.
There's so much Three Stooges comedy that Merry and Pippin, that he gets an apple tossed at its head and like, oh, I don't think he knows about second breakfast.
I'm talking about really specific ongoing slapstick. I mean, that's like 7 minutes of straight slapstick with the trolls.
It wasn't that funny.
It's in the
If
book.
It was supposed to be
It's in the
funny,
movie.
It wasn't funny.
It was funny if you're a 9-year-old, but you know,
I didn't see any
to me,
9-year-olds quoting that scene.
I think I've been walking around all week long saying, "It just needs a sprinkle of squirrel dung." I've been saying that all the time. I think that's funny. A little sprinkle of squirrel dung. Last night I was cooking at home. I had garlic spiced chicken with my vegetables and my pasta. And while I was making the pasta in the skillet, I told my friend, I said, "Just needs a little sprinkle of squirrel dung." I thought that was funny. Yeah. Look, the thing is, you guys who are out there complaining, all the naysayers, and Justin might be one of them, you guys, the naysayers, whoever you are out there, you guys are the guys and gals who need to be convinced by this marketing campaign to go and see the film for $14.75, plus a surcharge for 3D, 48 frames per second. That is Warner Brothers' dilemma. And the bottom line is that each one of these movies is going to make $1 billion. They hope, we hope, because if it didn't make all that money, then we would never get a chance to see really good home video editions with all the great behind-the-scenes stuff. We'll never get to see extended versions where we can see, like, I would really like to see more of Gollum running around after he leaves the safety of his cave in the Misty Mountains, and Gollum going on his hunt for Bilbo. Equally, I would like to see Gandalf and Aragorn go hunting for Gollum. All these interesting things that are talked about in the appendix. The appendix, it's not in The Hobbit, It's not in this book, but it's definitely in the appendix. I want to see this stuff fleshed out. Peter Jackson style on the big screen. I want to see it. So I'm glad that he's making money and that the movies are successful enough to enable the filmmaker to go further and further and further with what he's doing. I'm very glad.
Do you think Peter Jackson would hire Stuart Townsend to play a younger Aragorn?
Ooh, Stuart Townsend as a younger Aragorn? Ooh. That's an interesting idea. That has never occurred to me. Never occurred to me.
Did they already try that?
Well, if Aragorn was how old in The Two Towers? He says he was...
Who was originally cast as Aragorn?
He said that he was 82 or 86. How old was Aragorn in The Two Towers? Because he has that conversation with Éowyn
Who was cast?
in the extended edition.
Who was originally cast?
I remember it was Stuart Townsend, and yes, you're correct.
And why was he replaced?
But if you've got Martin...
Why was he replaced?
Because, I'll tell you the truth. Can I tell you the truth now that we're 11 years away from it?
Yeah.
Because he was a wuss. He wouldn't do his fight training. He would not go and practice his swordcraft. He would not practice his stage combat. He did not want to do the battle scenes. He's like, I'm not into this. I'm not going to be doing all these battle scenes. You get the stunt man to go and do the fight scenes. I'm not doing it. And he wouldn't show up to do the work. He was not dedicated to doing it. He was a total wuss. He wussed out, and he's like, I can't do this. And Peter was like, this isn't working. And Fran, Philippa, and Peter talked with Stuart Townsend, and they agreed to let him go because Stuart Townsend sniffed money doing a Vampire Lestat movie with the tragic death of Aaliyah, who died right before Queen of the Damned came out. And so Stuart Townsend felt he would have less of a strenuous effort to play Lestat than he would in playing Aragorn. So, sorry to nail the personal truth, but he was 87. Thank you, Dwina. Okay, so if Aragorn was 87 years old in The Two Towers, that means we're looking at 60 years earlier when The Hobbit is happening. He would have been 27. Maybe they could bring in Stuart Townsend, or maybe they could bring another younger actor, because Viggo is older now, and maybe they want a younger-looking Aragorn. I don't know. But that is wild, wild speculation. It doesn't exist. We have not heard any rumors to that effect. I don't want you guys running off onto the interwebs and saying, oh my god, Aragorn, younger, junior version of Aragorn is going to be in The Hobbit. It's not happening. But it is wishful thinking. Nice wishful thinking, but I don't think it's actually going to happen. Viggo is excellent, but it could be an interesting twist of stunt casting to bring in Stuart Townsend to play a 27-year-old version of Aragorn. That could be very interesting.
Josh Hutcherson with long hair.
Is this a call to the Torn Hotline? It's from Florida.
Yeah.
Hello, are you calling the Torn Hotline?
Why are you?
Yes, you are. Okay, you're on speakerphone. Here we go. Hey there, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Who's this?
Hello,
This is
precious.
Cookie.
Hello there, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm great. I just was calling because I'm a really big fan of you guys, and I appreciate every Tuesday how you guys continue to do your show.
Thank you. We enjoy volunteering our time to do this for the fans, and we like to have invigorating discussion with people because everyone has a passion, and I'm always surprised at how people show their passion. I really love that.
Yeah, I really love you guys, and I love Justin too, even though sometimes I want to punch him.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Woo! You got it there. You heard it there first. Are you laughing over there? Justin's laughing.
You're precious.
Yeah.
No, I do love him. I love him because he brings I'm a diehard fan, but he brings a type of view to people who are not so diehard about it.
Yes.
And the people that have concerns about it, so I really appreciate him for that.
I do too. Thank you very much. I appreciate having a differing opinion. Do you know how awful, boring our conversations would be if we were just sitting here agreeing with each other all the time? I like the fact that we have some dissent among the ranks. But I'm I'm just like you guys in the chat room. We don't need the constant comparisons of Peter Jackson to George Lucas, but there's
And that's what's bothering me.
yeah, well,
That's the thing that's bothering me. I don't know. I mean, Justin said something that really kind of pissed me off, and it's kind of pissed off some other fans, where he just said that, I think he said that, Peter Jackson was lazy filmmaking.
yeah, I don't agree with him on that. There's no laziness about him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I respect his opinion, but at the same time, I disagree with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I know what you're saying. And did you know that I'm from Florida, too? And I love listening to your Florida accent. I'm so glad to hear it. It reminds me of home. It's wonderful.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm from Miami.
Yeah, I'm from the Daytona Beach area, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
but I was
Floridian.
yeah,
Yay.
I'm a real born and bred Florida boy. I was born in Melbourne, right down, south of Cape Canaveral.
Oh.
Yeah, how about
That's why
that?
I like you so much.
Yeah, I know, you're awesome. Well, thank you, my dear, for joining us on the show. We're getting ready to wrap up very soon.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say hi to you guys.
Yay! Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us on the Torn Hotline. Justin, say something nice, Justin.
Thanks for calling.
There you go. Very good. Thank you, sweetheart. We'll talk to you soon.
Justin.
Thank you, dear. All right, somebody asked me in the chat room, did I like Gravity more than Children of Men? Wow, that's a tough question, because Children of Men is one of the most mind-expanding,
Your hesitation is the answer. The answer
amazing
is no.
things, and Gravity is also that. It succeeds to be expanding on the
answer
visual vocabulary of what movies can
Children
be.
of Men.
And I love them both. I don't know which one I like better.
I know what I like
was-
best right now.
I was
is
completely
Ringers.
blown away by both of them.
We're going to New York Comic Con this week, and this Thursday, 2 days from right now,
Yep.
we're doing our Ringers Take Manhattan party.
Is that 2 days from now? Are you actually leaving?
2 days from now? We've got pictures from last year.
All right, guys.
And it's-
New York Comic Con is coming up this weekend. How about that?
It's this weekend and this Thursday in New York. You don't have to have a Comic Con badge to get in to the Ringers party, but you do need a separate ticket. You can get all the information through our Facebook or TheOneRing.net. There are only a few tickets left, and I don't think we don't even have enough available for the door. And last year it was sold out. It was packed.
And people can't get in after a certain point.
And
That's
people
right.
And I think it's at the same venue. It's an underground pub.
Yeah.
Very Hobbity.
I love an underground pub in New York City. This is going to be an exciting weekend in New York.
Yeah. Not only do we have a panel on Sunday at noon, which is going to the line last year was 2 hours long. So
Wow,
do
that's
get
great.
in line for at least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours prior, as soon as you get to New York Comic Con on Sunday. But we have a big corner booth, and Weta has sent us a lot of amazing stuff that we can actually sell at the booth. So we've got
Okay.
exclusive Weta Workshop merchandise. They don't have a booth themselves there, so we're their official venue.
Really? So we're
vendor.
representing Weta in a way.
Yeah, we have their products. We also have Cryptozoic's new games, which I
Here
think
we go.
You have.
Here's Cryptozoic's really fun Fellowship of the Ring deck building game,
We'll have
which
that
has been
for-
expanded to the new Two Towers deck building game
We'll have
that has come out.
both games, that and the Two Towers deck building game,
And the Hobbit.
and the Hobbit.
The Hobbit cooperative game.
Cooperative board
It's
game.
so fun. I love the Hobbit cooperative game.
It's basically a one-stop shop for your Christmas and holiday shopping.
It is.
We've got 3 new T-shirts that are debuting at New York Comic Con, as you know, as we always do, and of course lots of hats and stickers and buttons and bags and
Everything. Oh gosh,
and,
yes.
yeah, anybody that goes to the party on Thursday gets a free gift bag, and I've been packing those all week.
Mhm.
They're going to be super fun. But
That's
if
great.
If you're not in New York, you can still take advantage of our sale this week on the Emporium, because a lot of our shirts have to go away The eagles.
That's
in the
right.
sky.
The eagles in the sky are swooping down from a certain unnamed motion picture studio. May they forever be happy with us. And we have a lot of things that are on the Emporium. What is the website again for the Emporium?
Shop.theonering.net.
Go to www.shop.theonering.net, where you can get your very last chance to get some of these t-shirts before copyright things happen where we can't sell them, okay? So
Basically, we can't sell them after this month.
cannot sell them anymore after the month is over.
So
But
everything
hey,
that's in the shop
is
has to go.
I wonder if Pete Northrunner is here. I haven't seen him in a while, but I wonder if our friends up in New England states are going to go up there and be at the New York Comic Con. I know our good Green Dragon. Hello, Green Dragon. I know you may be busy working, but Green Dragon, our friend Kirsten, who is up in Boston area, is going to be there at New York Comic Con. Will Larry be there?
Larry does what he wants.
We don't know, but we'll find out. Justin will be there, and wonderful staff from TheOneRing.net will be there. Oh, wow, lights off. We just went into nighttime mode. You know what that means?
And
It's
this is-
time to end the show. Woo!
So check out the shop.theonering.net this
Do that.
weekend. It'll be your last chance. Supply quantities are limited. Basically, we can't make any more.
Yep,
and they're
very
let-
limited quantities.
Graciously
of-
letting us sell the remaining stock we have left.
What
So
what are
when
what are
they
those shirts
go-
that remain exactly? Do we have the Obey design?
We have a little bit of this and a little bit of that on
Yeah?
everything. So
And do we have the Sauron on the Iron Throne design?
we're out of that.
We're out of Sauron on the Iron
Yeah, so
Throne.
whatever
One
we
throne to
have
rule them
left-
all. See, sold out. You
Whatever
should have gotten
we
one.
have left, we're allowed to
Yep.
sell the remaining quantities. So check
I'm
it
wearing
out.
my Laketown Archery Club. Will we still have that?
Yeah, we have a few left of that.
Good.
That
Laketown Archery
Durin's
Club.
Folk Family Reunion, but
Yeah.
everything has to go. We can't do anything that says Durin
Or Laketown.
or
But
looks like the Eye of Sauron.
yeah, we can't do that. But we also do have a Laketown Fire Department, which is acceptable. We have Laketown Fire Department, which is going to be our ongoing shirt design that we'll have. And we'll come up with some other fun things. Hey, are you selling the shirt that has the 5 names?
Well, that will be up. Yeah.
Bears,
That-
bears,
that will be
spiders,
our exclusive
elves,
new
barrels,
something.
and dragon. Ha! Oh no. It starts with bears, spiders, elves, barrels, men, and dragon. That is a great shirt. I love that shirt. We're gonna have that for sale at New York Comic Con, and be sure to look into get your tickets for the Ringers Take Manhattan party. It's better than the Muppets Take Manhattan, believe me.
And more beer.
A lot more beer. Okay, guys, 6:30. We've had an excellent show. Be sure to go to the OneRing.net main page and look at our frame-by-frame analysis of the new trailer of The Desolation of Smaug. We have found some amazing details in that trailer, and we have beautiful high-res, very, very, very high-res versions of those images that you can save for your desktop pleasure, for desktoping your mobile device or your desktop at home. Okay, wonderful show. Thank you, Gothy, Boffer's Wife, I Stole the One Ring, Moyor, TF Drums, Kelly Duck, Hobbity Lass, Saoirse, and who else is in there? Dwina, Teteras, everybody, all of our friends, all of our usual suspects. Great show. Thank you. We are exploring lots of images from Warner Brothers. They're going to keep trickling out. Watch your televisions. We will have new TV commercials that will be trickling over the next few weeks. So we'll talk about more of that stuff next week. Until then, oh wait, do we have Sean Astin next week?